And in a brief exchange in Jonah chapter 4, which we read, we kind of read a little parts of, but if you read through Jonah chapter 4, you find this conversation between God and Jonah going back and forth. And Jonah says about 70 words in that whole exchange. And 11 of those words are either I, me, or my. And Jonah very much is talking about himself very much in this conversation. And we say very, very little humility about Jonah. He was very, very prideful. And someone who is proud cannot obey from the heart. And someone who obeys from the heart is someone who is willing to submit themselves under the direction of another. And that can be hard sometimes, our pride. We don't like to submit ourselves. We like to be the ones people are submitting to, be the ones who are in charge. And but no, that when it comes to obeying God from the heart, we have to be willing to say, you know what? You know best, God. You're in charge. You know best. I'm going to humbly submit myself to you. And a passage I go to often, probably every week, is 1 Kings chapter 3, and it's Solomon's prayer. When he becomes king, of course, his dad dies, and he inherits this amazing kingdom with just billions and billions of dollars worth of gold just sitting there in his lap, and of course, hundreds of millions of people, and he's a bit overwhelmed by this, and he comes to the Lord in 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 7, and he says this, and now, O Lord, my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child, and I know not how to go out or to come in. And we see just he's over his humility. Like, God, I'm a little child here. I don't know what I'm doing. Of course, he asks God, give me wisdom, give me discernment so I can determine between good and bad and judge your great people. And because I'm just a kid. And of course, God loved his humility, and God gave him great wisdom because of that. And to obey from the heart requires us to be humble. Another man who showed this great humility in the Bible is Jeremiah. Of course, God calls him to be a prophet. And Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 6, Jeremiah says something very similar. It says, then said I, Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. And I think God very much loved his humility and tells him, hey, don't say that. I'm going to give you what to say. I'm going to help you. And someone who obeys from the heart is someone who's willing to submit themselves to God's authority. And Jonah clearly was not. Jonah knew better. And he knew what was best. His thoughts and his ideas were more important.